This is BTV. Profiling innovative companies on national TV and financial portals. With host, Taylor Tone.
Hello, I'm Taylor Tone, and welcome to BTV-Business Television. Well, currently 26 states and the District of Columbia have laws broadly legalizing cannabis in some form. In Canada, where medical cannabis is already available nationwide, the federal government is committed to passing legislation that will decriminalize recreational cannabis. A generation ago, you might have been asked if you'd tried marijuana. Nowadays, the question is, have you invested in marijuana? And if not, should you?
This sector is unique in that the demand is already there. There's a $7 to $10 billion black market for cannabis. So you're just shifting it from the illegal side to the legal side. So there's no real need to change people's habits. It's essentially just replacing the black market with a legal market.
We begin with a company that's been in the cannabis business since the 90s. They actually helped define standards in the space for Health Canada. They employ nearly 200 people and are currently operating in 3 countries. Their approach is primarily medical, with a focus on providing pharmaceutical-grade products. Their differentiating factor? Quality control. But first, here's what the analysts have to say about CanniMed.
CanniMed's a great company. They were the original commercial grower in Canada. So, they may be better known as Prairie Plant Systems, but they were the first ones under the old regime. There's one commercial grower with one strain, and that was this company out of Saskatchewan. But they've taken a very disciplined medical approach. And what I see, I like. I'd like to get to know the story a little bit better, but they look like they're well positioned in the market.
CanniMed's taking a pharmaceutical approach, and they did recently announce that they've submitted their own product for testing. It all came back cleanly, and I think that was obviously in response to the recall that was done at one of the other LPs, and I think that obviously speaks to their production practices.
We believe that the cannabinoid business is going to be disruptive.
Brent Zettel came from humble beginnings, growing up on a farm just outside of Regina, and then earning a degree in agriculture, which led him in the 80s to starting in the plant biotech business. It was then that Health Canada first started the relationship with Brent.
We could see the convergence of pharmacy and plant biotech in the mid to late 90s. And we were actually looking for a marquee project that could demonstrate a GMP manufactured system using plants in a contained environment. In the early 2000, Health Canada actually put out an RFP, a request for proposal, for making medical cannabis. And we said, you know what, that to us could be the marquee project. We should bid on that project. And as they say, the rest is history.
The active ingredients in medical cannabis seem to work with our own human endocannabinoid system.
We have a natural cannabinoid system, and it just so happens that the plant provides products that mimic the compounds we naturally produce. And the further we get along in science, the further we understand how effective these compounds are, because they mimic some of the compounds we have in our body in a very effective way.
CanniMed believes cannabis compounds will be very disruptive to the pharmaceutical business.
Why? Because of the broad reach of the categories in which the way in which it's being prescribed today. We have well over 3,700 physicians today prescribing for 168 different conditions. 58% of them relate to some form of pain.
For the baby boomer demographic alone, CanniMed estimates the market to be at $50 billion a year.
If you just the United States alone, there's 10,000 people a day turn 65, and it's going to stay that way until 2030. They're needing to find alternatives for opiates in order to manage pain.
The thought is that Big Pharma will get interested in the sector once clinical trials and research prove up the claims.
The clinical trials that we've undertaken really speak to broad categories of conditions where the patients anecdotally have already started using some of the products we have. The first study that we developed and sponsored is looking at trying to manage the pain symptoms of osteoarthritis of the knee, and we're using different formulations of cannabis, medical cannabis. The other clinical trials in a juvenile epilepsy that we're providing the product to in conjunction with the University of Saskatchewan is actually doing the research. We're providing the product to them for that.
CanniMed is already licensed to grow 7,000 kilograms of dried product and produce 5,500 kilograms of oil just outside of Saskatoon. And it's not stopping there.
We're planning to build an ethanol extraction facility for the manufacturing of cannabis oils that will have the capacity to produce 12 million bottles a year. That's the first phase of the expansion. There's 3 more phases after that. We're producing the pharmaceutical grade products. We're investing into clinical trials. We're investing in the upstream sciences and the biosciences to find better products and better systems so we can give meaningful statistics to the healthcare professionals.
CanniMed is actively pursuing international sales. The company has recently completed exports of cannabis oils to Australia and the Cayman Islands. Later, a company that's convinced that success in this new industry will be driven by an old-fashioned business principle.
If one can demonstrate low-cost producer status, you basically can control the marketplace.
This is BTV.
Welcome back to BTV. As we go to air, this next company, located near Hamilton, Ontario, is eagerly awaiting the go-ahead from Health Canada to begin cultivation of their crop. But what they also look forward to is the research they're going to spearhead. Beleave Inc's CEO, Roger Ferreira, is confident that the company can be a leader in next-generation discoveries in the world of medical cannabis. Because in this business, you have to grow more than the plants to succeed.
Beleave Inc. is a biotech company, and we're committed to becoming a licensed producer of medicinal cannabis under the Access to Cannabis for Medical Purposes regulations, or ACMPR, here in Canada. And we're currently working with our academic and clinical partners at Ryerson University and McMaster University to research and develop new technologies for cannabinoid production, extraction, and drug delivery.
Ferreira's background accounts for his commitment to research that will expand the repertoire of medical cannabis.
I have a PhD in physiology from the University of Toronto. My work at Toronto Western Hospital was in neuroimmunology, focusing on the development of therapeutic strategies to combat brain inflammation within the context of neurodegenerative disease and stroke. There still remains a lack of high-quality, evidence-based data and guidelines for a number of clinical indications that might benefit from cannabinoid use. We plan to do our part. We plan to support and be actively involved in clinical investigation surrounding therapeutic uses of cannabis, and particularly for cannabis products and drug delivery technologies that Beleave is developing.
On the bricks and mortar side of the business, Beleave appears to be as prepared as they can be for the approval of their license.
So one of the really important considerations that went into the design of our facility's infrastructure was that it allowed us to expand our square footage and our production capacity very quickly and in a cost-efficient manner after we receive our initial cultivation license.
The company is also prepared for the imminent adult recreational market.
We're all ready to accommodate our phase 1 60,000 square foot hybrid greenhouse expansion that we're beginning on the site's existing 17-acre property. There still remains 4.5 acres of developable land on the property for which we have phase 2 expansion plans.
Roger's passion for his job is evident.
It's really exciting being at the forefront of an emerging industry where there's unimaginable opportunity for innovation, research, and development for so many diverse and exciting applications.
Roger Ferreira wanted to ensure that the finance side of the Beleave story was not overlooked.
I think it's really important to highlight that we're fully funded through licensing, and we've done this while being able to achieve minimal shareholder dilution, while maintaining a very tight share structure with 56% insider ownership. We have a really fantastic, dedicated team of executives, directors, and advisors, all of whom are committed to the success of the company, with a long-term economic outlook on the emerging legal cannabis industry, as well as a view to scale as demand necessitates and vertically integrate our intellectual property portfolio.
The Health Canada pre-license inspection at Believe's facilities took place in March of this year. The countdown to becoming a licensed producer continues. Before we meet our next company, analyst Neal Gilmer offers his perspective on the long-term future of the cannabis industry.
I think at the end of the day, dried cannabis will become a commodity. It'll take some time to get there, but once we establish that, there's going to be quite an aftermarket in downstream products.
Bioscience deals with the biological aspects of living organisms. Lexaria Bioscience's research is focused specifically on the absorption and improved delivery of compounds found in edible cannabis products.
I'm a pharmacologist with a background in the biopharmaceutical sector and a focus in the development of absorption technologies for drug delivery. I believe that the future of management of chronic healthcare conditions will be dominated by functional food products and consumer goods. At Lexaria, we have the technology that makes it possible, like never before, to empower new and more potent products with a whole range of bioactive substances. So you have the plant cannabis, and within cannabis you have marijuana and you have hemp as two different species of that plant. Our technology is applicable to bioactives that are found in either cannabis, meaning marijuana, or hemp plants.
Cannabinoids are poorly absorbed by the body's gastrointestinal tract, and consumers often default to alternate routes of absorption, like smoking, to achieve higher effectiveness.
Lexaria is a biotech company with patented lipid-based delivery technology that enhances taste and absorption of beneficial molecules like CBD and THC found in cannabis edible products. We can apply that same technology to other active substances like nicotine, which has beneficial properties, to things like fat-soluble vitamins, and things like pain relievers such as ASA, ibuprofen, things of that nature.
In 2015, Lexaria commissioned independent third-party laboratory tests. The main goal was to answer the question, would there be an improvement in absorption levels?
We've conducted human tissue in vitro and also human focus studies through which we've demonstrated as much as a 5 to 10-fold increase in the absorption of molecules like CBD and THC, and also an onset of action in as little as 15 to 20 minutes. Test subjects rate our technology and our products better in flavor profile. As a company, we look to license our tech to third-party companies. We're doing so in the United States currently, and we look to do so here in our own backyard in Canada when the regulations allow. We look to leverage our tech for better tasting, faster acting, and more potent edible products with those actives.
And these licensing agreements are just now beginning to take shape.
We started generating revenues from our first strategic partner and licensee. Through 2017, we anticipate significant growth in our revenues as more of our strategic license partners come online and mature, through which we have a total of 6 different licensing transactions under development at different stages.
In their quest to improve delivery systems and the bottom line, Lexaria recently announced major funding of an R&D program on absorption. After the break, a company that's absolutely clear about the impact of medical cannabis.
Medical cannabis is making a difference in people's lives day in and day out.
This is BTV.
Welcome back. Organigram is a licensed producer of medical cannabis located on Canada's East Coast. They started up in 2013 and have brought on board a CEO with considerable experience in the healthcare industry.
Spent the last 30 years in the healthcare industry. The last 20 of the years of that have been in leadership positions in 4 startup companies, either in Canada or internationally. And the last 2 years, I've been working in the medical cannabis space, Prior to joining Organigram, I was Chief Executive Officer at a West Coast-based licensed producer.
With a license to sell both whole flowers and blends of medical cannabis, as well as oils and extract forms, Organigram's highly qualified team is able to provide a diverse range of products to meet patients' demands.
We have an extensive agricultural and production team that's really focused on producing medical cannabis. We have a very focused client services team, which is focused on meeting the needs of our patient population. In addition to that, we've got people on the research side.
Like most of his colleagues in the industry, Greg Engel concedes that more research needs to be done.
There was a stigma associated with cannabis use. There was not enough research being done, but that's really changed over the last couple of years. Now we're seeing a lot of clinical development programs underway, and we're also seeing development of new forms, which is one of the things we're working on as a company here at Organigram.
Though firmly committed to the medical cannabis business, Organigram is also preparing for the game-changing development on the horizon, the legalization in Canada of adult recreational marijuana.
As we've seen in U.S. states when those programs have come into place, is that there's been an insufficient supply to meet the market demand as we move from a black market to a legalized adult recreational program. So we are building out that capacity right now at Organigram, and we're looking to take our current capacity of around 6,000 kilos per year up to 26,000 kilos per year, and we have the full capitalization to be able to do that. What also makes us unique is that we have a partnership with a company called TGS, with a green solution out of Colorado, which has been a vertically integrated provider in the Colorado marketplace. And with that, we're developing a number of different forms, both for oral ingestion and other forms for use that will give us an advantage over other companies in the marketplace.
Another advantage, one that has benefited Organigram from the onset, is their location.
As a producer in New Brunswick, we're very fortunate to be able to access low power costs, which allows to be a low-cost indoor producer of a high-quality product.
Analyst Jason Zandberg agrees that it's a winning combination.
Maritimers love buying products from other Maritimers, so we think Organigram will do well in the Maritimes. They started out as being an organic grower. They probably will do both an organic and a non-organic grow. There'll be a nice niche across Canada for that organic product.
Growing any crop organically is complicated. Problems can arise, as Organigram discovered.
They have gone through a bit of a challenge recently with the recall that they announced in late 2016 and again early 2017. It was unfortunate and obviously something that isn't something that they want to brag about, but I think what they can brag about is how they have tried to respond to that, the initiatives they've put in place.
We like Organigram. We've been at the site, been at their facility, and we do believe they're a good grower and they'll continue to be successful going forward, and they'll put this behind them.
In March, Organigram posted record sales following the release of a new crop grown under revised protocols developed in response to the recall. Greg Engel is as passionate as ever about what his company has set out to do and is confident they have the right strategy in place to succeed.
What really excites me is the feedback we get from patients. Medical cannabis is making a difference in people's lives day in and day out, and we hear that feedback from patients, clinics, and physicians, so that's really rewarding. Overall, Organigram is uniquely positioned to take advantage of the future opportunities in the marketplace. We're fully funded for our expansion. We have a series of forms that will be available for oral ingestion as the legislation moves in that direction, which will allow us to take advantage of market opportunities that we believe many of the other players in the market will not be able to take advantage of.
The company recently announced the purchase of an advanced high-capacity extraction system. Organigram will be ready at the starting line when adult recreational marijuana is legalized. Go big is the only way to describe this next company. They plan to produce 70,000 kilograms of cannabis a year.
Our vision is, on the acreage of the land we've assembled, called the Afria campus, is to eventually have 1 million square feet of greenhouse grow.
This is BTV.
Welcome back. This next company has had a history of success and growth on many levels. Industry analyst Jason Zandberg of PI Financial gives his take on Afria.
We really like Afria. They're recognized as the lowest cost producer. They were one of the first greenhouse producers of cannabis in the space. The management team's got a strong background of growing products within a greenhouse environment, so they understand how to grow a plant, are able to really reduce their costs to the point where, at this point, nobody can compete with them on a cost basis.
Aphria is unique in several ways, but the most primary differentiator between us and most, if not all, other licensed producers, we are a pure agricultural play growing in a greenhouse here in Leamington, Ontario. It really provides the strength of low-cost producer status. And if one can demonstrate low-cost producer status, you basically can control the marketplace.
Getting into that marketplace early has been another contributing factor for this low-cost producer's success. Haywood Securities analyst Neal Gilmer explains.
Aphria is one of the earlier licensed producers. They got it in late 2014. I think they set a standard in growing cannabis and doing so in a cost-effective manner. They've already reported a number of quarters with positive EBITDA, and I think that does set them apart from some of the other licensed producers.
In addition to increased earnings, the company is also continually improving their facilities.
We need to demonstrate the ability of capacity. So our vision is, on the acreage of the land we've assembled, called the Aphria campus, is to eventually have 1 million square feet of greenhouse grow.
They're in the middle of, I'd say, 3 different phases of capacity expansion. All have been started at different times and all expected to complete at different times. At the end of the day, it should take them towards 50 to 70,000 kilograms of production. Probably they're going to be there sort of middle of 2018. They expect to be done their actual construction projects sooner than that. However, we always have to wait for Health Canada to do their inspection, and obviously naturally it takes time to scale up production in something that size.
One of the key ingredients in what Aphria calls their secret sauce is their commercial greenhouse expertise, coupled with the invaluable pharmaceutical experience that their management team brings to the table.
Vic Neufeld was the ex-CEO of Jameson Vitamins, has got a great relationship with pharmacies across Canada. We think they'll be a winner in that space.
We have the financial capital, we have the intellectual capital, and most importantly, we have the passion capital. All 3 are required from a company that really wants to be the leader in its marketplace, and Aphria has it.
They stay at the top of my list. They've got on their management team people who've been working in the greenhouse industry for collectively more than 40 years. So I think the combination there presents well to the investors out there.
With management's combined experience in the healthcare sector and expertise with growing in a greenhouse environment, it's no wonder that industry experts are keeping this cannabis company top of mind. An increasing awareness of the potential the cannabis sector has to offer has become international in scope. James Black at the Canadian Securities Exchange explains.
We're starting to see an influx of companies coming up from the US. These are typically companies that are in a variety of sectors within the cannabis space, whether they're growing or doing cannabis oils or a variety of other things. They're starting to come to Canada to access these public markets because there really isn't a public market for them down south.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope we provided some insight into this rapidly expanding new industry. For BTV, I'm Taylor Tone. Until next time, may your portfolio prosper.